educator of over 40 years, I have learnt the power of neuroplasticity and how it has the capacity to change the brain. So it's exciting to talk about lifelong learning and see how the brain can be utilized in AI and lifelong learning. It's my pleasure to moderate this panel today, and we have very distinguished guests around this table, and thank you for joining us. And firstly, I'd like to ask them to introduce themselves and then tell us in one sentence what they are passionate about on this topic. So Ismail, you're to my right, so I'll ask you.
Okay, my name is Ismael Gomez, and I work for OEI, the Ibero-American States Organization. It's a government organization. We have offices in 20 countries, we work in the American region, which includes all Latin America and Portugal. It's Portuguese and Spanish speaking countries. It's a really old organization. This year we're turning 75. I've been working in OEI only for like 9 months. And I'm the director of digital strategy. It was a very analog organization. It still is in many ways because it's an organization that works in cooperation for development. So we work in education, higher education, science, culture, human rights, and I come from the private sector, from the digital education sector. So I'm very interested in lifelong learning, and because especially in these aspects of what do you have to do, like there's a definition of lifelong learning. It says something like an ongoing activity, a purposeful activity, allows you to learn throughout your life, but that lifelong, like that thing as a purpose and an ongoing activity, something that you will be able to do all your life. That is very interesting to me, especially uh, in and how does it relate to the new developments in technology. And I find that sometimes it's some of the new technological solutions and some of the narratives around AI can really clash against this objective.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Alvaro.
So my name is Alvaro Fernandez. I run a think tank called Sharp Brains, where we track applied neuroscience, basically data brain science and how to apply it in different contexts. And I'm addicted to lifelong learning, so this is the panel, and I see so many opportunities to improve people's lives just to apply it because we already know of the brain and the mind. So I think it's a super wonderful topic.
Mm-hmm.
And the angle of lifelong learning, or what I really love adults, potential we have, not to think education ends when we end high school or college, is lifelong.
Mm-hmm.
And we really need to inspire people and to equip and empower people to keep learning all their lives, because that's the only way we want to thrive in the society that we have now, with more and more cognitive demands and emotional demands from our lives. So it's a very timely topic.
Well, thank you for telling us that passion, Alvaro. Andres.
Andres Fulgarin, CEO and co-founder of Bot Lovers. We are a bot platform that helps large companies improve their customer service and sales, especially in retail sector. We have clients here in Spain like Mercadona, Alcampo, Carrefour, this kind of large companies. And we are very obsessed to use the generative AI to improve the relationship between companies and their clients.
Uh-huh.
And in the area of the education and this topic, I think could be perfect have an AI companion for all your life that follow your steps during your whole life from the beginning and until the end. I don't know. But the idea is this companion will know everything about you and will give you this really personalized help that we can have because it's very cost effective. Try to personalize in these times. The companies can do that, government can do that, but probably AI and generative AI, especially, maybe could is the idea.
Fabulous. Thank you. I love that idea about the companion
Okay,
through your life. That's a very interesting thing. Maybe we can explore that a little bit
okay.
further.
Yeah, because I would have questions about that. Indeed,
Of
I'm
course.
imagining all kinds of how that would work. For them.
So
Really.
great segue. And
Yeah.
Lynn, you might like to introduce yourself and
Um,
tell us what you're passionate about on this
Yes,
topic.
my name is Annelien Bredenoord. I'm Rector Magnificus of Erasmus University in Rotterdam. It's a large public university in the Netherlands. We have initial education, but also a big branch of executive post-initial education, particularly at Rotterdam School of Management. I'm also, or I was, a professor in the ethics of emerging technologies before I became a full-time executive. And I have a passion of, particularly in the healthcare setting, but also broader, how societies and organizations struggle with integrating technology, particularly emerging technology, into how they work, how they think, how they communicate. Particularly, I've been working particularly in academic healthcare settings. So how you integrate this in healthcare settings and how doctors make decisions, how patients deal with it. And in my role as a rector, I'm responsible for education. And now I am struggling myself with how to integrate AI into our entire educational programs, both in the sense of how do we offer AI to our students, particularly to our teachers, because the students know much more about AI and how to use, for example, Gen AI than our teachers do, but also more from the research side. What does AI mean for humans, for discussions about actually what we heard this morning in the conference. Yeah. So that's actually my one of my passions. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have such a diverse group here and with different passions in this topic. I thought I would go to Chat GTP to ask what it thought lifelong learning was. And it tells me that lifelong learning refers to the continuous and self-motivated pursuit of knowledge and skills throughout one's life. It goes beyond formal education and extends into various aspects of personal, professional, and social development. And the goal is to foster personal growth, enhance career prospects, and stay relevant in the workforce and enrich one's life overall. So, I looked at the World Economic Forum definition of 21st century skills, and they're very aligned with that. So skills like collaboration, communication, problem solving, and looking at the skills required in social emotional learning, which are all are used right across our lifespan, of course, outside formal education. So, so using that as a basis of the definition of lifelong learning, I will ask my first question, which is, what are the key elements of education that you think will help the lifelong learning of students? Who would like to go first?
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I'll try. Okay, I think the definition ChatGPT gave you of lifelong learning. I'm just surprised that he didn't say lifelong learning is me.
Yeah.
And it says it stresses all the individual aspects, like personal, career prospects. And what about, nobody's self-motivated. I mean, we can be self-motivated, but all our motivations come from our social background, and people we relate to, we have relationships with, yeah. And it's not something that comes from you, like it's something that's born from you and has no relationship at all with the world which you live in. So the personal skills depend on where you were born. If you were lucky enough to go to a good school, have a good teacher in your life, or just a family that supports you, and career prospects, of course, we know that the impact that your social background has on that. So there's no lifelong learning if it's you're stressing just the just your career prospects, your skills to develop, and you have a huge income or enough income in the future. There is some social aspects of lifelong learning which we can't do without, and that I don't think we're stressing enough. And I think some of the narrative I was telling you right before we started the table that some of the narratives around AI they stress that I give you this solution. It's all you need. And we're forgetting that then after we turn off the computer, if we ever do that, or the smartphone, we have to interact with others and find solutions to work problems or problems in our community, and we never do that by ourselves.
I mean, I would say two quick things. One, that we don't do this well, but we should maybe in the education settings introduce, same as many schools have physical education, we have to have a body in shape, more explicit maybe brain skills. What are the specific cognitive and emotional executive functions that are going to help that student first do very well in the school setting, but be prepared for lifelong learning, because it's not just about content transfer, it's not about memorize things, but how to really equip. And I don't think many schools are doing that. And the other thing, not talking education K-12, but I think many universities, for example, I'm also in Europe, in the US, where I've been for a long time, there's more and more lifelong learning institutes where people go to take classes just for fun. I don't want a credential, I just want to learn how to take photography, or what's the relationship, the history between Japan and China. And I've been teaching myself as a professor of people over 50. And it's fascinating to teach people who go there just because they want to learn, for the intrinsic motivation to learn. So I am not sure. I would love to know if Rotterdam, you have such a lifelong learning institutes, or in Europe that's a common vehicle, because I think that would be a massive opportunity to engage people older than 30 or 40.
Yeah, yeah. We have actually. It's interesting because in the Netherlands we only have, I think, one private university, so our higher education system is completely publicly funded. But within some of the publicly funded universities, like Erasmus University, we have a huge commercial part, which is like in which is a BV, and attracts a completely different group of students, particularly people who want to get an executive MBA or learn particularly social science and humanities skills. They did like an engineering or a math study, and now they have executive roles in company, and then they come to us. I think that's one of the university examples of lifelong learning, and I think it's very successful. And I think it's a very traditional example of lifelong learning. The only difficulty with this is that it's expensive. And if you say we also are a civic university, we want to make impact also for people working in municipalities or maybe public organizations that cannot pay an executive MBA. There, we are thinking about offering other kinds of programs that are also short modules, but way less expensive than the executive parts. And there, I think AI can be helpful, because what makes it expensive? It's that it's very teaching and staff intensive, and that it's group intensive. But you can organize this differently, and I think that's important for many reasons, but particularly to be more useful as a university, to be more democratic, and to offer also your programs to the entire workforce. Yeah. But the huge difficulties, I was in an earlier session here, the President's Roundtable. One of our biggest challenges is we have a huge shortage of teaching staff. And we have about one teacher for 25 students. So that's well, actually, and then I know that at primary and secondary schools it's even more challenging. But that's a huge problem.
Personalization.
Yeah, so with personalization, maybe with some flipped classroom concepts where some of the automatization doesn't have to be done by a human teacher, then hopefully it will be better. Yeah, we can offer it to a much broader part of the workforce.
Lewis, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
we'll bring you into the conversation.
Sorry.
We were talking about the key elements of education that will help, in your opinion, the lifelong learning of students.
Yeah. First of all, sorry for being late. I was in the interviews in Boston. So at least for us and for our perspective right now is I think the relevance of the content of the lifelong learning. So from our perspective is we understand the huge potential that has this idea of lifelong learning. And I'm from Mexico, so there also lifelong learning has I don't know if it's kind of a threat. It's more like a hope in terms of the capacity to develop specific skills or to validate some of the skills that already the workers have in terms of give some credentials to them to increase their income level, right? So one of the main questions that, or one of the key elements is how relevant is this information or is this skills or is this training for them? Is going to be able to be connect very quick to the labor market? Is the labor market considering that this is valuable for them? Or is more like a traditional perspective of the university that is inside of them and lucubrating and designing all these beautiful programs that the industry doesn't care? Uh, at university, probably a program, a traditional program university, engineer, something like that. Probably you could pay that luxury. But in terms of lifelong learning and skills that you're supposed to continue your education, you are going to invest because normally the people who apply for an MBA, executive MBA, is from their own money. So they are going to pay for that and they're going to risk their own labor and they have to receive return of investment very really quick from that perspective, at least from our context and from our understanding. So it's relevance and the capacity to have to be return of investment from that perspective when you are participating in one of these programs.
May I ask you,
Sure.
okay, you must have a massive alumni network, right? Thousands, tens of thousands. How do you, what do you offer some lifelong learning opportunities to those alumni? Because that's a huge opportunity that I'm not sure universities are exploiting.
Yeah, we have two different from technical trade system. We have two main type of university in some way. One is Tecnológico de Monterrey, which is more like I don't know to say a traditional model because we changed our educational model to be a competencies model, all the educational, and the other one is Tech Millennium. Tech Millennium is for other type of students who it's more oriented to connect direct with the work, with the labor market. One of the main problems is we are. I'm going to provide a lot of context. Sorry. We are a multi-campus, so we have presence in all Mexico. If you know Mexico, Mexico is not very heterogeneous. It's not very homogeneous. It's more heterogeneous. So basically, the needs from the south is very different from the needs from the north, from the needs from the west. But when we design this program, we got used to it to design a very traditional framework to all of them and say, okay, you are going to use that. So right now we are I'm not going to say struggle, but we are looking the best way to adapt our content to the needs of the different contexts in which we are.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we are going to lose our capacity to provide impact and value to our learners in our both schemes, the more highly educated and the millennial, which is more oriented to other type of students or learners. That perspective.
Thank you. Andres, did you
Yeah.
want to chime into that topic of
Yeah.
how education is helping
Yes.
lifelong learning?
Yes, I think there are a new skill, a new knowledge that education has to provide to the students. That is how to interact with AI. This is a new thing. This is new for everyone. And the point about this is very important because one of the big problems is that we don't know exactly how to interact. We are learning about how to take all this power of the AI and specifically the generative AI. And it's so hard give ChatGPT to students and later say that they have to use the critical thinking and give all the knowledge in one sentence. And I'm going to think if ChatGPT think for me, then where is my brain? Where is my task? What I'm going to do? Yeah. But this is one important part of this new paradigm that we have to change. School has to teach people, students, how to use the AI. Then uh, this, I don't know. We all know Khan Academy.
Mhm.
Yeah, Khan Academy launched a program in AI that is Khan Amigo
Yes.
or Khan
Amigo.
Camigo or
Yes.
something like that. And one of the problems that they found was the students can't talk properly with the AI. They don't know how to do it. Yes. Then it's the same problem all about this prompting engineer and this kind of things that people are learning. Is we need to know again how to relate, how to have this relationship with the technology.
Mhm.
Then I think this is the most important part of this new way to interact for the rest of your life with this probably AI companion, but knowing how to do it.
I think you bring up a couple of good points there. One will segue into my next question, but you brought up that critical thinking aspect. And earlier today, in one of the forums, there was a discussion around critical thinking because AI can give us points of an argument, both sides of an argument, two opinions, but the human has to make the choice about which side of which choice they want to make, and that's where the critical thinking skill comes in, which is obviously one of those lifelong skills. I'm going to just segue from what you were saying about students not being able to interact with AI, not ask the right questions. Because my next question was, how has AI impacted education on the quest for lifelong learning? So it's slightly different than what you're saying, but that impact of, well, AI has impacted education. Now the students don't know what questions to ask. So maybe I go back to you with that, and then I'll
my
ask.
point, my point and our point in this business that is virtual assistant with AI
Yes.
is try to have this personalization, this knowledge about you, about your skills and your progress, and track this for all your life and give it. Can you imagine that? I don't know, 3 years of knowledge or interaction with an AI will give you what will be your best career to choose or best next course to take. I don't know, Coursera. Coursera is doing something like that with AI,
Yeah.
all this knowledge. And I don't know, Duolingo is doing the same language, these kind of things. And it could be great that we can okay, I have a kid now, 40, 15 years old. Is we have to decide if we go for language or maths or something like that. And why? Why can that at this time, or I don't know, all this time in school, they have to know. Come on, you have all the track record, all the exams, all the I don't know skills that my kid then why we don't use this all this AI to help to this decision, for example? Then this is our point in this part. It's knowledge, data, and use it in a personalized way
Yeah.
with this companion.
Great. Who else would like to jump in here?
Yeah, and we was having this discussion related with what happens if the university doesn't exist, the future, right? Crash our business, something like that.
Like non-invasive surgery. This is the moment you want to keep to make yourself succeed. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of And the thing is, who's going to be in charge of creating all this knowledge first? Second, who is going to define what is these pathways that you're supposed to take? If it's the AI, then who are teaching the AI what is the pathways that she's supposed to follow and what is the main contrast, to put it in some way. And then it's these big companies, these big corporations having a big influence on that perspective because Coursera is going to say, okay, Microsoft, what do you need? P&G, what do you need? I can force, not force necessarily, but tend to move some people to have specific skills. And then it's at the beginning it's like, yeah, you are going to have a lot of jobs, fulfilled jobs. But then what happens when there is more people with these specific skills? Then the labor market is going to go down. So there is a lot of ethical implication in all this perspective about how we're going to use that from that perspective. And it's more critical if the learner doesn't have any idea that is already happening in terms of who is defining your pathway, who is defining what is your next step. I remember I wrote some article, very simple article, related to the ethical of ChatGPT or artificial intelligence. So I asked ChatGPT, what is your moral system framework? So, well, I don't have any moral system framework. I just use, based on the information you provide me, I provide you information. I assume that you know if my information is correct or not. And I say, well, that's crazy because at the end of the day, it's a huge disclaimer from the own AI to say, okay, it's your problem. Yeah, I just repeat what I found in the.
No, but it's not totally in that way because OpenAI use in this case human reinforcement learning that is people saying don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that.
Yeah, I don't believe that universities will disappear. I don't believe that. Universities are centuries old, but I am convinced that the future of education will change and that there will be other models next to or competing with universities. And but in the end, the function of universities is also, particularly in the initial education, not the lifelong, but the 18 years old students who come in, find a group of friends, find their communities. Universities have some kind of trustworthiness and they have accreditation. So if you could go to a certain top 100 or top 200 university, it's also what the quality of the logo and the university you are studying. But I am convinced that if universities do not change and keep up to pace with developments in technology, and AI is, I think, the most important example, then many of the universities and also of the task will become old-fashioned. And I also think we will shrink as universities. So but yeah, I'm quite convinced that university as a concept will stay strong. Yeah.
In fact, I don't think universities will shrink. I think they will expand. But the question is, maybe they will use AI. And right now, I would love to go to your website. You have all these professors and students that have collective wisdom and knowledge, but I cannot access that. But maybe you will have trained some ChatGPT Rotterdam. I can go to your website and ask, hey, what does Rotterdam have to say about any topic? Or Monterrey, right? And I go, and that way many people have access directly to that knowledge for free, scalable, or you charge something, and then whoever wants the socialization and the credential then goes to the university. But I think it opens a lot of channels, a lot of opportunities.
It's an example of an open science
Correct.
that even React responds to. I think it's an interesting thing.
Sorry, if so, jump in that perspective. And also is we need to routine. I don't know if it's to routine or to redefine or I don't know how to put it, the role of the universities on that perspective. And I think it's going to be I don't know, it's an opportunity or it's a consequence that is going to create this gap between those university who is, like you mentioned, 200, 400 years that is very concerned about the knowledge they are creating. And the other one who is just repeating some knowledge and doesn't care anymore. So we probably create that.
Yeah.
Knowledge production AI has technology in general has changed education. It's been doing it so for my experience, my professional experience. When I started working in education, in the ed tech sector, it was like 20 years ago, and I saw how it changed everything. And not only that, all of a sudden it was like tech companies started to see how interesting the education market was because they were not paying that much attention 20 years ago. Of course, there were some educational products. But I remember digital learning was in the hands of a few companies with really primitive platforms, and SCORM seemed like science fiction back then. Now, this is like a growing market. Everybody wants to know what they will need for the future, for have a job, and it's changed education in many amazing new, great ways. And AI, I think, for example, you were talking about personalized learning. I don't think you can really defend personalized learning at the same time let the system decide for me. You have to you really need to defend your right for personalized learning. At the same time, you need autonomy to make your own choices. And yeah, does the system know me better than me? Then what have I learned? Basically nothing. I can repeat a lot of things, but I don't know anything if I can't make my own choices. And I was saying, I was mentioning some narratives around AI. They basically tell you this is all you need. That's why I was joking about how ChatGPT was saying lifelong learning is me. Just keep using it, keep coming back. And the interaction with AI is changing because companies know the people get used to something. I need the next new thing. So I would, and that's why they're implementing some tools, some ways to approach the customer so that it keeps coming back. For example, I wrote this version of ChatGPT, like this Chinese GPT that was, I can be your older sister. I can talk to you like that brother that you know, especially in China, that brother you don't have. And so there's this kind of emotional, I wouldn't say blackmail, but the manipulation. So the way we interact, how are we learning how to interact with AI? And in terms of education, we need the opposite. We need to give people as much autonomy as they can handle. And there are some uses of AI that are really productive in that regard. And especially I don't think that there is a technology that's going to solve all your education problems, but there are approaches like methodologies where people, especially teachers, whose importance I think is bigger than ever, to accompany people. I don't think it's going to be like a product or a company that's going to sell a solution to the family. So you can skip the importance of the teacher. You need to stress how important the accompaniment that those teachers are doing. And the technology is there just to help him. For example, just free up some time for the teacher, so he has more time to observe and be able to assess. Teachers have to assess the new skills that the student needs.
It has to change. Yeah.
So on that, then, looking at the impact of AI in education, is that the future? Is that where education should be focused now?
AI.
Well, you were saying more than AI, right? You were saying what the role of what the teacher now is able to do and what students can access there. And thinking about the lifelong learning aspect of this, actually, it may be outside of school and outside of university. So what is that impact?
Okay, if you were talking about, you were saying that the lifelong learning means this has a purposeful, there's activity to learn during your whole life. AI is not going to give you purpose. If you rely on AI to have purpose in your life, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Let's face it, because AI is going to be. Right now there is the commercial AI is concentrated in the hands of 3-4 huge companies, which are growing, and they're telling us, "I'm all you need." Again, right? And there you have other non-commercial AIs. For example, not long ago, I was talking to Miguel Mendoza from Tech Monterrey, from the Mexican Society of AI, and we're talking about, they need they feel like nobody's listening to them anymore because they are not competitive in the private AI sector because they don't have the money that they need to invest in this huge mega computation, like this mega trillions of matrices, of parameters, sorry. And so there is like seriously, if we're going to rely on a 3 or 4 huge companies and they're buying all these startups, you have this startups gets in the first round maybe $1 billion, mostly from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai. Those are buying. Those are putting a lot of money for those startups, and then you just think that civil society will just allow these AI companies to tell us where we should be heading our societies. Maybe we should think twice. And I'm just saying that.
We have a few more minutes, and so I'm going to ask anyone who is listening to this conversation today if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when I came to the panel, I was thinking about the opposite of its title. I was thinking, what kind of lifelong learning is worth doing without AI? So I thought maybe you all experts can just.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great question.
Work without AI.
I'll just give you a softball. I am an educator and I find experiential learning to be the most productive with adults. So adults learn by doing, and it allows them to get outside of their comfort zone and try something new and have childlike wonder with learning.
I mean, a lot of skills acquisition is not going to be based on AI, right? You're not going to ask AI, help me ride the bike. No way. So a lot of declarative, a lot of content, yes, can be very useful, but still I think there will be a lot of role for experiential on all millions of skills that I think, I mean, AI can be very beneficial, but still there's sort of role for non-AI direct experience.
All social skills, AI can help with that. Indeed, is one of the risks that you spend all time talking with yourself, with the AI, and don't interact with other people. This is a huge problem. Or if you use soon the Apple Vision Pro, and you could emerge and spend one day without talk with anyone, it could be a dangerous problem. But all social has to be reinforced. All you have to come here, get information, and then share this with other kids, other coworkers, other this kind of things. I think the universities have to do that with this and with the society and with the government. I think.
And I think that is a very interesting question because probably we could split the lifelong learning in terms of what is the main, I'm not going to say the purpose, but what is the result of your taking a specific course? If there is a course related to some application in real life, then probably AI could provide the content, the knowledge, but it's not going to teach you how to ride a bike. You have to have first step, buy a bike. Oh, I don't have a bike, so you're screwed. So there is, I think there is going to be some lifelong learning perspective that is going to have this validation from the, I want to put it in a very simple way, from the real world and labor market or soft skills, etc., that needs to be developed. And from that perspective, I think AI is not going to be able to go there yet. Let's see. And the other one is, what is the limitation of AI in terms of developing specific skills? For example, you mentioned right now this idea of something related with empathy. We are conducting right now a project in which we are testing what level of human interaction with young learners from low-income communities that is going to learn some empathy, so soft skills. So basically, we are testing if the youth learn more from just AI plus human, or just human. because that is a big question
Yeah.
for us. And right now we are saying, from our perspective, is please, human, win this.
Yeah.
Because if AI, we need you. Because if AI develop better skills in terms of empathy, wow, that is going to be something profound, it's very deep in terms of what we understand.
It's a great place to finish our conversation. One sentence each, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, I think in terms of education, I think AI makes it even more important that we have expertise with people who know about didactics, pedagogical approaches, and educational sciences. Because in the end, it's not whether or not to use AI, but what are your intended learning outcomes, and what kind of program do you need for those intended learning outcomes? And then you can use it with some kind of AI, but it could be done in another way. So I think that should always be the goal. What are my intended learning outcomes?
Fabulous.
This is a wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. I think as in our way of see the AI won't replace people.
Yeah.
It's not the idea.
Mhm.
AI and generative AI will replace task, a specific task, and in education it will be um, um, a complement of the real people interact with other people, and plus AI. This is the right combination for us.
Fabulous. Thank you.
I think for me is we need to lifelong learning achieve their promise for all the world, and I think AI could be or should be this enabled to achieve this promise that lifelong learning is there.
Thank you. Alvaro?
I think it opens a massive opportunity for one word. But in fact, the new rector of UCJC said yesterday, Hector, I'm not sure if you know him, he said the role of the University of the Future is to be relevant. So I think with AI, we can allow much more in the moment lifelong learning when you need it for that moment in ways that until now were impossible because I don't have time to do 1 year MBA in Rotterdam. But if I need something right now and I have my personal AI assistant, it's going to open a world of opportunity and knowledge.
Great, positive way to finish. And one last comment.
I was thinking, talking about human replacement with AI, and I was like, is AI getting that good that we can, rely on it for empathy or our goals? And I remember, when people were saying, no, the algorithms in, for example, like Facebook or Instagram are getting so much better. They're getting almost like human-like. No, they're silly. The thing is, we humans have an amazing capacity to adapt to any environment. And if we find that, you post a picture with a very thoughtful, food saying, talking about climate change, whatever, it doesn't understand it, so it doesn't promote it as much as if you just happy face and saying, I feel great about myself. They promote something very simple that the machine can understand, and we adapt to that. And we need success in that technologically based social platforms. So we adapt, and sometimes we're turning more stupid. So instead of relying on just thinking AI is going to replace us. Okay, that you just should use that as an excuse to get better at being human in the regard of, what I mean is being more intelligent. Just take control of your own, your own goals, and just learn. And not only, we should expect not just people to pursue lifelong learning, also institutions, universities, high schools, the educational system. The labor market learns a lot, and that's very fast. But we should also expect that from when we take our kids to university, or when we go to university. I expect the university to change, also to learn and change with time.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.